Hello and welcome to the first Football Manager 2018 experiment on the channel. Today we're doing a personal favourite of mine. I think this is going to be one of the favourites across the whole of Football Manager 2018. We're going to be seeing if League 2 manager Danny Cowley and his assistant Nicky Cowley can do the job as the England manager. Now this sort of takes inspiration from my main save on the channel with Lincoln City. The reason I became Lincoln City boss was because Danny and Nicky Cowley were approached to be England managers, so I thought why not put it as an experiment and see what actually would happen if Danny and Nicky were the managers. So I went into the pre-game editor and I literally just swapped Danny Cowley, put him into the England job. He's the England manager. His brother Nicky Cowley, who is a Lincoln assistant manager in real life, is coming as the assistant manager of England. So if we look at the staff on here somewhere, staff, here we go. As you can see, Danny Cowley, full-time contract on £50,000 a week. I put Nicky on the same amount to make it fair with his brother, but apparently only the managers get wages. So unfortunately, Nicky's working for nothing while Danny works for £50,000. But this is his little profile then. How does it compare to a normal international manager? And if we look at it, coaching-wise, not particularly well. I mean, coaching-wise, he's got some pretty average stats. Very good for League 2, I've got to say. Very good for League 2, but in terms of England manager, not good enough at all. His mental stats are a lot better though. Really, really good mental stats. Determination and man management, very, very high. Motivation, also very good. So he's got some good stats in him, does old Danny Cowley here. But let's see if they actually come into play for his England manager role. He also tends to use domestic-based players, so that's quite good as an England manager. You can only really choose that, so that suits him down to the ground nicely. And he uses counter-attacks as well, so that'll be interesting to see if he likes to do that in his actual formation for the England team, of course. We've got some good fullbacks I know in England. You know, we've got the likes of Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, players like that. You could probably bomb forward on counter-attacks, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see if he does utilise that. If we click on Nicky Cowley then and have a look at him, his stats aren't quite as good as his brother, unfortunately for him. He'll be very cross with that, I'm sure, in real life. The coaching-wise, it's very similar to actually his brother, but his mentals clearly aren't quite as good as Danny on game. So I'm sure in real life they have squabbles about that. I know I would with my brother. Hopefully they'll be a good partnership in the game as they are in real life. So this episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing the rest of these World Cup qualifying. So the state of the game coming out, I think England they've nearly qualified. If we look down here at the groups here, England are 6 points clear of Slovakia. So all Danny and Nicky really need to do is just avoid defeat in some of these games, and they should be fairly safe for World Cup qualification. And then there'll be a few friendlies afterwards, and then a few friendlies just before the World Cup. So we're going to go on holiday until just before the World Cup, and then we're going to review what's happened here, and then we're going to go and do the World Cup as well in this episode. So fingers crossed, if we get to the World Cup, we can see what happens and how well we can do, and see how good Danny and Nicky Cowley are compared to Gareth Southgate. Alternatively, we could crash out of World Cup qualification, lose all our friendlies, and Danny and Nicky will be sacked. And it goes to show that League 2 managers really can't be England managers. So I'm going to go on holiday now, and let's see what happens in a moment. So we've gone 1 year into the future then. Let's have a little look then at what's happened. As you can see, England have qualified for the World Cup. As you can see, we're in Group E, first game against Mexico. So that's pretty good to see. Danny Cowley has made the objective and completed the objective of securing World Cup qualification, although it wasn't all that hard, I suppose. He had a fairly easy job to do with 4 games to go and 6 points clear. Danny, though, sticking to his guns, doing very well for himself, and he seems to be doing all right. I don't think there's any attribute changes as far as I can see. He's still on a Continental C licence, that's what he was before. I've not seen any attribute changes, though, so he's not changed himself as a manager at all in this past year or so. But at least he's done well for himself and got to the World Cup. So let's have a look at how England have done. If we go to the schedule then, and we go back to the previous year, in fact 2017, that's where we want to be, 2017. Right then, as you can see, we joined as we still had Lithuania, Malta, Scotland and Slovenia. And Danny has managed to win all 4 of those games. A 3-0 win against Lithuania, 4-0 against Malta, 2-0 against Scotland and 3-1 against Slovenia. Slovenia getting a 90th-minute goal there. I think because it's 2017 and it's now 2018, we can't click on any of these to see what actually happened or see lineups, which is a bit annoying because I'd like to see the lineups. But you can see Harry Kane and Rashford getting goals there, Dele Alli and Rashford. Rashford again. Rashford seems to be a starting pick now for England by looks of things with Danny Cowley. Danny Cowley seems to like Marcus Rashford quite a lot. And he got a hat-trick there against Lithuania, so why isn't he starting? I mean, if he's going to be scoring goals like that, that's fair play to him. We did lose a friendly 1-0 to Croatia, which is interesting enough. You would have thought we would have had enough to beat Croatia after beating the likes of Slovenia and Scotland, I suppose. Malta and Lithuania, obviously different stories there. But you would have thought we would have beaten Croatia, so then maybe we're doing an experimental side there. We can't obviously see the team formation there. If we click to view match, it's not available, unfortunately. But if we zoom to 2018, there's a lot more to talk about now. So we've had our 3 pre-World Cup friendlies, Greece, Paraguay and Ghana. And as you can see, we can now see lineups and things like that. So The first thing that sticks out to me in these, after that 2-1 win against Greece, the 1-0 win against Paraguay, and the 2-1 win against Ghana, is that we haven't won these games convincingly. Scorelines have been very minimal, but at least he is getting wins as opposed to Gareth Southgate is getting draws against other teams. But I suppose Gareth Southgate is getting draws against Brazil and Germany. Greece, Paraguay and Ghana aren't really in the same league as those sides, so a little bit of comparison there. Perhaps it's showing the England side isn't great, but if we have a look at the lineups here, as you can see, Jack Butland making starts, not the old Joe Hart in goal, and actually Jack Butland makes starts in all of these games, as you can see. Jack Butland starting goal every single game, so that's interesting as well. The other thing that jumps out to me as well is how young this side is. It is ridiculously young. Trent Alexander-Arnold playing in all the games. Dele Alli, obviously he's a star player, but he's still very, very young. Jesse Lingard, Marcus Rashford. In fact, if we look down here, is Harry Kane even there? I mean, I can't even see Harry Kane. He's in this game here, Harry Kane, with Tammy Abraham scoring the goal there. So again, giving debuts to young players here. If we look down this one, where is he? Is he even there? Oh, he's there. Harry Kane, you get a goal. We played 7.7. But as you can see, the England side very much changed to what Southgate has, I suppose. I mean, I know Southgate is bringing in more and more youth players, but Danny Cowley seems to have jumped in the deep end, giving Trent Alexander-Arnold debuts. He's playing Luke Shaw back where, he used to play there a lot for England before he got injured and stayed injured for a few years. He's doing pretty well for himself. Harry Winks is also on the bench there. He didn't get a game that time, but he did play later on. I'm sure he did at some point. But it's interesting that he's given debuts to some young guys ahead of the World Cup. Interestingly enough, the World Cup group stages are against Mexico, Senegal and Croatia. So Croatia, the side that beat us in a friendly last year. Hopefully England will be able to get redemption against Croatia in the World Cup. Senegal shouldn't really be a challenge, but Mexico could prove to be tricky opposition. They're not a bad side, are they? They usually do fairly well in international tournaments, but if we've lost 1-0 to Croatia, I can see us losing to Mexico as well. So it'll be an interesting World Cup group stage to go forward. If we look at the World Cup, actually, as it is now, we look at the groups, some interesting groups here. Obviously, Russia drawing in Group A because they're the hosts this time round, so that's interesting. Let's see if there's any groups of death as we look down. Spain and Argentina in the same group, that could be interesting. Honduras get to the World Cup this time. They obviously got there this time. Obviously, in real life, they lost to Australia, did they? I think they lost to Australia, didn't they? They missed out on goal difference for automatic qualification. There's no real groups of death looking down. Perhaps Group F, Denmark, Germany, Uruguay. You wouldn't expect Denmark to go through, but they're not a bad side, really, I suppose. Belgium, Chile, USA, Poland. That's kind of a hard group, to be fair. All kind of similar sides. I mean, Poland are meant to be, in real life, like 6th in the world or 8th in the world. They've played that system quite well. Belgium, a decent side. I think if there's going to be a group of death, it's going to be Group H, but none of them are really standing out to me as particularly tricky groups for any side. So what we're going to do is go forward once again now to the semi-finals, because I think if I play the final, it'll tell me who's won it before I can sort of show you guys through. So if we go to the semi-finals, we can work our way through the group stages and see exactly what happens to England and see if Danny Cowley can produce a World Cup win for England. So we're up to the final of the World Cup, then the finals to come. I've not seen anything. I've literally just sort of refreshed on this page to make sure I didn't really see too much. I don't want to give it away to myself either. So we're going to look down the group stages now and just see what's happened, see what sort of big names have missed out. In Group A, Holland missing out. They missed out in the World Cup in real life, but missed out on the second knockout rounds in the World Cup in this. Ivory Coast and Russia going through. Spain and Tunisia knocking out Argentina. Messi can't win a World Cup. If he doesn't win a World Cup now, will he ever? I don't really know. Portugal and Czech Republic go through ahead of Ghana and Honduras. France and Colombia ahead in Group D. They beat Bosnia and Saudi Arabia. Sort of routine there. England do manage to qualify with Croatia, both on 6 points. Mexico and Senegal on 3. So we did lose a game. We lost a game and we won a game. Win 2 games, obviously. So that's pretty good to see. Germany and Denmark qualifying from Group F. Brazil and Algeria beating Austria and Iran. Algeria perhaps the outsider. Austria would have been, I presume, favourites to go through that group with Brazil. And then Belgium and Poland knocking out USA and Chile finishing bottom of the group on 0 points. Would not expect that after they've won various Copa Americas recently. So very interesting group stages there. So that's nice to see. Let's have a look at in-depth into our group, which we're looking at with England. Group E. Now let's have a look at this then. Group E. What's gone on here then? So we won our game against Mexico. Fantastic stuff. Harry Kane and Danny Welbeck scoring both goals there. Javier Hernandez getting a 90th minute goal from Mexico there. Croatia beating Senegal. We lost to Senegal, interestingly. Now, into this, obviously the game that I thought we were going to win comfortably, we've lost in the 2 games that I thought could be a challenge. We've won comfortably. So, very, very interesting there. Harry Kane and Danny Welbeck getting both the goals there for the game against Croatia. Interestingly, as we saw previously, Marcus Rashford scoring plenty of goals for England, but hasn't scored a single goal in the World Cup yet for us. Let's have a look at we can't actually see the details, apparently, which is very frustrating because I would like to see the details and see if Marcus Rashford was playing that game, because He was on fire in the friendly, so unless he's picked up an injury or something like that in that meantime, I don't understand why he's not played. But there's the group stages. Hopefully, if we go to look on the schedule for England after this, it will show us the lineups a little bit better. But it's a bit annoying we can't click on the games. I want to see the formations reviews and things like that. So let's go to the second round. How have we got on here? Where are we playing? We lost 1-0 to Denmark. Fantastic. So after all this hype with Danny Cowley, manager of England, we lose 1-0 in the second leg, in the second round rather than Denmark of all teams. Which is, I mean, a bit underwhelming really there as well. Germany lost to Croatia as well, so that's interesting to be fair. Other big names to go out include France. They lost out to Czech Republic there. That's really interesting. France have got such a good young side. To lose 3-1 to Czech Republic, they must be very disappointed. Colombia lost to Portugal. I guess that's kind of an upset in a way. Colombia, Portugal, I'd say quite evenly matched sides. But other than that, though, no real upsets. I guess the 10-goal thriller with Algeria and Belgium was a good one to watch. But Belgium coming through as the winners there. We'll go through the rest of it anyway and just see what happens. Quarterfinals, Russia beat Czech Republic. Portugal beat rivals Spain. That's a big game. Denmark go through again against Belgium. So Denmark, really the dark horses this World Cup. And Brazil beat Croatia. If we go to the semi-finals, Russia beat Brazil 4-1 and Portugal beat Denmark 2-0 to set up a Russia-Portugal World Cup final, which is perhaps the most bizarre thing I could imagine. I would not expect either of these sides to get there, but it's happened. So we'll have to go and see what happens to that in a moment. Let's have a look at England then. Sorry, old England. What has happened to them here? Now, Danny Cowley is still the manager, apparently, which is interesting. He's not been sacked for his bad performance in the World Cup. I judge it as a bad performance, really. We should have done better, I think, but I guess with an inexperienced manager, things are a little bit different. Let's look at this schedule then. Let's see what went wrong and where. The Mexico game then. Why is it not showing us the teams? It doesn't show us the teams for Mexico or Senegal for whatever reason, but it is showing us the team for Croatia. I mean, I'm not really sure what's wrong with this. Maybe it's because I'm not a manager of anyone. Maybe it's just because I'm holidaying through unemployed. I don't know. So I do apologise for that. But in the World Cup Group E match, the final one, let's have a look at this then. Butland playing there, Trent Alexander-Arnold, John Stones, Eric Dyer, Danny Rose, Raheem Sterling, Dele Alli, Jordan Henderson, Jesse Lingard, Danny Welbeck and Harry Kane all playing there with Lallana. Troy Deeney getting a call-up for some reason. I'm not sure how. He's not been contracted. He's contracted to Watford. I thought he was not contracted to anyone, but he's contracted to Watford. He's picked up 2 England caps, somehow got a call-up. He must have had a phenomenal season to do that. If we look down, Danny Drinkwater also on the bench there. So that was interesting. It all went wrong, though, in the Denmark game as Adam Lallana got himself sent off, which obviously not very good. Marcus Rashford picked up a knock. By looks of things, no one particularly played very well at all. Just not a good performance there. Harry Kane not turning up. Jesse Lingard, Danny Welbeck not turning up at all. Interesting selection here, especially when we go back. It doesn't show us the lineups now, but we saw a very, very young lineup in these friendlies. And we've gone to a more established lineup now for the World Cup, and it's not really worked out. So perhaps Danny did the wrong thing in choosing a more experienced lineup. Perhaps we should have just stuck with this young gun sort of style that was going and working well for us in the friendlies. Kasper Dolberg goal was the one that counted us out, though. Kasper Dolberg, just a phenomenal player. Contracted to Tottenham in real life on this now. I say in real life, in game. 56 million he's worth. That's insane for a 20-year-old. So I think what we're going to do now then is we're going to go and we'll show you the World Cup final because it's very interesting. Who's going to win that, Russia or Portugal? A bizarre situation there. We may do this again. We may go further into this and do the Euros as well, European qualification and the obviously European League. That's a new thing now that's coming in, so that'll be interesting to see. We'll also do the Euros next time as well. So if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you drop a like on the video and let me know. You know, a like will tell me if you've enjoyed this or not, and I'll decide if that makes a next episode with Danny Cowley still at the helm of the England. Hopefully he'll improve it by then. Hopefully we'll get some better results. But for a League 2 manager, I think he's done phenomenally well to get us to the World Cup second round. Also, let me know in the comment section as well what you want to see more of. I mean, do you want to see more of who's in the squads and things like that kind of stuff? Let me know what you want to see more, because I know I feel like I've quickly gone through this, but I feel like it's been an insight at least to see what happens. And if I'm being honest, this actually could be better than what we do in real life, so that's interesting. We're going to go forward now and see the World Cup final, but as I say, drop a like on the video if you want to see another episode of this, and leave a comment down below saying what you want to see in the next episode of this as well, in terms of what I can show you. So very quickly then, Brazil came third, beating Denmark, who knocked out England. So Brazil came third in the World Cup, and if we go to the final, Russia were beaten by Portugal on penalties. What a bizarre final that was, I bet. If we look down here then, Russia were actually down out of it until they got a penalty very, very late on there. So that sort of saved their bacon a little bit. And it came to the penalties. If we can scroll down here, penalty shootout, players that scored. doesn't really say. In fact, actually, it does, doesn't it? It says that Russia scored 2, missed 2, whereas Portugal scored all 4. And Portugal are now world champions for the first time ever. Cristiano Ronaldo having perhaps the worst game of his life in the World Cup final before being substituted in the 45th minute. Jesus Christ. What an absolute poor showing from Ronaldo there. He can't do it on the world stage, and that is why Messi is the best player in the world. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, then drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new for more Football Manager 2018 experiments. And go and check out my Lincoln Loco save as well, where we've moved Danny Cowley in-game to the England manager as well. So we can also see how he does in real life there and things like that. I say keep saying real life. I mean in-game, but it's Football Manager. And I play a lot of Football Manager, so it feels like real life. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.